Good morning, class. In the previous classes, we have discussed regarding the introduction to theory of production, and also we have seen the demand function also, just as a revision. Now we have to see the input and output relationship or the production function. Okay. So here you can see a production function will be having different number of factors. Mainly, we will be having land, labor, capital, organization, technology, and also we can also add a machines there. Okay, land, labor, capital, organization, and T is the technology, and we can also add machines also. But one thing what we have to keep in mind is every time all the factors are not considered. At some particular point of time, only some of them or all will also be considered. Okay, that means the production of some products will be depending upon the land, some on the labor, and some both. Okay, capital, organization, and the technology used, and sometimes the machinery what we are using also. As an example, we have seen in the previous class, where land is very very important in the case of agriculture, but in the software industry, land doesn't plays a very big role in the production function. Okay, that means to produce the best output. Okay, okay, see here. So in the input output relationship, what we want to identify is we want to measure the output quantity produced based on the input factors. Okay, so to identify that, we are seeing the production functions. So for example, here we have taken around five variables, right? Land, labor, capital, organization, and technology. Not only that, we also have the machines there. We can also include the machines if possible. So here first we are identifying for one variable input. That means the factors as one variable inputs. Here the variable input here what we are using is input of labor, right? This is the labor. We are varying the labor and we are observing the output. Okay. So we are seeing the production function with one variable, production function with one variable input. So what we want to say here is production function with one variable input and we are observing the returns. That means the output. Okay. In this concept also, first at least any other factor will be constant. Any one factor, other one has to be fixed, and one factor has to be varying. That means labor. Okay, here we are varying the labor, keeping the capital as constant, something, right? Or any other factor constant. So you can see here, you see what is going to happen here. You see here, first when you start, initially it will be zero. Okay, it is what this TP indicate? It is the total products produced. AP is the average products produced. MP is the marginal products. Okay, here you can, sorry, you have to strike off it, and it has shifted. It has shifted to left. Total products is TP, and marginal product is MP, and average products will be AP. Okay. So here you can see this production function with single variable inputs. Coming to the loss of returns for this, what happens is the total output in the initial stages will increase at an average, so at an increasing rate. At the at the starting at the starting stage, as we are increasing the input, automatically the output is going to increase in the same fashion. Okay. After that, if you increase further the input value, that means improving of the labor further, there will be declined increase. What is this declining increasing? Declined increasing means first you have to observe for the increase of one person in labor, if there is a production increase of say 100 units, for 2 increase in the input, that means if you increase 2 persons in the labor, it will be increasing 200. If you increase 3 members in the labor, the output will be increasing 300. Do you get now? That means for every one increase there will be 100 number of output increase. But later, if you further increase the input value, that means if you increase further the labor, it will be of declining rate. That means after, for example, if after reaching 4, that means if you have kept 4 extra labor, it will be around 400. You further increase the labor to 5. Further increase the labor.
అదే ఇల్లు పిలిచారు చూడు పాల కోసం.
Okay. So we are discussing regarding the example, right? Where if you increase the labor, the production is increasing. This will be done up to the point A. That means proportionate increase. After that, if I have taken 5th person, what is that? It is output is only 450 units. Do you get now? So in the starting stage, when I increase my labor by 1 person, for every 1 person increase, it is around 100 units output increase. But later, after some time, there is an increase. There is increase confirm, but it is a declined increasing. Okay, it is not in the proportionate increase. If I further increased to 6, now the value is about 480. Okay, that means declined increasing. So when it is 4, it is around 400. When it is 5, if the input value is 5, that means the labor value is 5, it is 450. Then I have further increased the value to the 6. That means my input labor is 6 now. But it is now 480 only. When I added a 5th person, there is only 50%. 50 is the input. Okay, that means increase in the output is only 50. For the next, there is only increase in the input is only 30. That is called as decline increasing. Okay. So if I further increase, If I further increase my labor, it will be around, it will be reaching its maximum value, that is the C. Okay, it will reach the maximum value. If I further increase the labor, there will be decrease. Okay, there will be decrease in the production also. Instead of increasing, first it is declined increasing, later it is negative. It becomes negative. You can clearly observe here. Don't see this. This TP has to be here. This MP has to be here, and this AP has to be here. Okay. So here you see this units of labor. You are taking units of labor. Initially, when there is a zero input, automatically there will be no production. Okay. So when there is one labor, total products are 10. Okay, total products are 10. Then what is this marginal product? Marginal product is nothing but this 10 minus this 0. 10 minus 0 gives this 10. Okay, I have increased the input by 1. So what is the output? It is 22 right now. It is 22. Okay, so how do you get this 12? 22 minus 10, that is the marginal product output is 12. Okay, so you see here, how do you get this average value? You add this 12 and this 10 divided by how many values you have taken? 2. That becomes 11. Okay. Next, you add this 3. You add this 3 divided by 3, you get this 11. Do you get now how to get the average values? You just add only the marginal values. Okay. Okay. It's not like that. You just you write this 33 divided by 3, you get 11 here. You write 22 divided by 2, 11 here. You 10 divided by 1, you can get the average value. So 40 divided by 4, you get the 10. 45 divided by 5, you get the 9. First you have to know how to get this marginal products. Then you can get the average value. Okay. So total products divided by the number of products gives the average products. Okay. So you can observe clearly here, for one product, for one labor is able to produce 10 products. 2 labors are able to produce 22 number of products. But 3 produces 33. So it is in increasing fashion. But okay, it's well and good now. So you see here, for 4, it is 40 only. Here, by increasing the one person in labor, there is increase of 12 units. Actually, it has to be only 10, but it is around 12 here. By increasing one person in the labor, it is increased by 11 units in the output. Okay. After that, I increased one more person, but it is becoming 7 right now. Okay. So I further increased the labor, but the total production, you can see it is only increased by only 5 units. I further increased the input labor. There is only 3 units increase in the output. I further increased my labor. There is no change. There is no change. Same output they are getting. That means the workers are discussing something, but they are not doing the work. That thing we have to remember here. It's a practical case. This is human psychology based. Okay. So when there is single person, he is able to produce only 10 units. But there is 2 persons. in the labor. That means with the help of one another, they have increased the productivity. Okay. Since there is increase in the labor, further there is increase in the productivity. But later the number of persons has been increased. That means they started discussing something. That means they are not doing the work. Okay, they are discussing something, or one is disturbing the other while doing the work. That means, okay. Further you see here, what happened here. You see, if the labor had become 8, the production has been reduced to 45. Why? I have increased my labor, automatically my output has to be increased, but it is becoming negative right now. See here in the graph, this is stage 1 where there is increase in the input, that is labor. There is corresponding output increase in proportionate manner. You can see from A to B, it is declined increasing. It is increasing but declined increasing. That means very few amount is increasing. It is not in proportionate fashion. After further, we can see up to the C, after achieving some particular point, sorry, you have first stage is from here to here, and second stage is from here to here, and third stage is this, right? Okay, so it's going negative. This C here, this marginal product is negative. This is called as law of variable proportions. This is called as law of variable proportions, or we can also call it as law of diminishing returns. Law of diminishing returns. Why? Because the diminishing means it is reducing, right? So as we are increasing the inputs, up to some extent it is increasing, the output is increasing up to some extent, later it is decreasing. Okay, the same thing has been explained here. Okay, okay. Now we go with this product function with two variable inputs and law of returns. Production function with two variable inputs and law of returns. In the previous case, there is only one variable. What is it? It is only the labor. We are changing only the labor and we are observing the output. That means we are increasing the labor and we are observing the output. Now here, what we are doing is, here we are varying both the capital and the labor. Both the capital and labor we are varying, and we are observing the output, and we are seeing how this law of returns occurred. Okay. So for the input, what is our return? Our return is the output, right? Okay. So here, you see here, we are indicating with the help of Q is equal to F of C comma L. Okay, Q is the quantity of output generated, and it is depending upon two factors, that is capital and the labor. So if you observe, you just see this graph where we are taking capital on y-axis and we are taking labor on x-axis. This concept, that is varying of two variables and observing the law of returns, is very much helpful for different combination of capital and labor, identifying different combinations of capital and labor to produce some predefined output. Okay, see here I am having a curve, a downward curve. So I'm marking A, B, C, D, E, and F here, and I'm writing. You can see here I'm writing a quant IQ to 20,000 units. What it is? So I want to produce an output of 20,000 units. My output is constant only. I want to produce 20,000 units. For that, I have two concepts, that is two variables, that is capital and labor. At particular point of point A, you can observe capital is less. So if you take this point, okay, the value of capital is very less, but the amount of labor is very high. Okay, if you see the point B, that means there is decrease in the labor. There is decrease in the labor. Automatically there is increase in the capital. Okay, there is increase in the capital. You can see C here. There is further decrease in the labor, so the capital has been increased. The same fashion D, E, and F. Okay, D, E, and F. That means here, if you have very less amount of labor, we are investing more capital to produce same 20,000 number of units. That means we are using more number of machines. So you have to observe some more thing. Okay. So in this two variable inputs and observing law of returns, first we have to see here isoquants. Isoquants means iso means equal, quants means quantity. Okay. To produce same quantity of output, we have different combinations of inputs. That is here two inputs what we are using here is labor and the capital. Okay. So we have to see the features of this isoquants. This curve, if you see, it is downward sloping. Okay, this curve is downward sloping, and this curve is not touching any of the axis. What does it mean? If this curve touches the x-axis, if the curve touches the x-axis, what does it mean? On x-axis, the value of y will be 0. Do you get now? On x-axis, the value of y will be 0. That means you don't have any capital. If this curve touches x-axis means we have so much number of labor. Okay, well and good. But the capital is 0. Without the capital, you can't produce any goods, right? Okay. So here, if this curve touches the y-axis, the labor is 0, and we have some particular amount of capital. So even though you have a capital of some amount, if there is no labor to produce the goods, it's useless, right? So that means that curve is not going to touch any of the axis. That thing we have to keep in mind. Okay. So these are the combinations. That means at point A, you see, at point A, capital is only 1 lakh rupees. But the number of labor required to produce 20,000 units is 20 labor is required. At point B, I have a capital of 2 lakhs. For 2 lakhs capital, 15 number of labor is sufficient. Okay. For capital C, you can see here, that means at the point C, the capital is 3 lakhs and the labor is 11. And D, capital is 4 lakhs and labor is 8. And what we are observing here, the capital is increasing and the labor value is decreasing. Capital is increasing and labor value is decreasing. That what does it mean is, if we don't have more number of labor, automatically capital is increasing. Okay, you can have some live examples also regarding this. So why the products which are made in China are very cheap? Why? You can unmute yourself and you can give the answer. You just compare with the concept what I have just discussed and give the answer. Anyone? Okay. So we have seen this graph and also this table. If you see, the population in China is more. It is having highest amount of population all over the world. So the number of persons available to do the work will be more. So that means the companies doesn't require more amount of capital to invest in that country. Okay. So it doesn't require. That means the company doesn't require more amount of capital to start the company in China. Why? Because there will be abundant number of workers. Since the population is more, there will be more persons, and they will be working for the company at low cost also, even for the low cost also. So then on, that's the reason why the products which are made in that country are less cost. So so quality may be a different aspect. When we go with the quality of a product, it may be a different aspect. Okay. So you can see here. We have another concept called as this curve is convex to the origin. Okay. The curves are convex to the origin, and we can also have that if the capital and labor are perfect substitutes. What does this mean? Perfect substitute. Substitute means for every 1% increase, there is 100 output increase. If I remove one person, definitely there should be 100 output decrease. Do you get now? When I am increasing my input by 1 unit of labor, output will be increasing 100 units. After one stage, if I remove one labor, my decrease in the output will should also be 100 units. That is called as perfect substitutes. Okay, if it is the case, your capital and labor will be this. For producing 20,000 units, this is thicker. Okay, it will be just like a straight line, does not touching the capital curve. That means y-axis and the x-axis. So these are the combinations. The value of ABCDs will be on this line only. So if I want to increase the output, that means I want to increase the outputs. That means 30,000 units that I want to produce. This is the curve. That means there will be increase there will be increase in the labor and also capital to produce the 30 units. Sorry, 30,000 units. If I want to produce 40,000 number of units, this is the curve. That means there will be increase in the labor and also capital in the proportionate way to produce 40,000 units. Okay, if they are not the perfect substitutes, you see, and the substitution of one input for the other cannot be taken place, then the isoquant curve is just like L shape. Okay, if they are the perfect substitutes only, this type of curve will be forming. This, or else it will be like this if they are not perfect substitutes. And you can see that this thing we have already discussed. They do not intersect. They do not intersect one another. Okay, those curves will not be intersecting one another. So here we have mentioned here, you see isoquants where input factors are perfect substitutes, and isoquants where input factors are not perfect substitutes. Isoquants means same quantity. Iso means same quantity. Iso means equal, quant means quantity. Okay, so they should not touch the axis. Okay, they should not touch the axis. They should on, you have to see what does this do not intersect. Do not intersect means this is to produce 20,000 units. The combination of capital and labor is different for this. And for producing 30,000 units, we have another combination of capital and labor. If this both touches means what does it mean? That means for producing 20,000 units and for producing 30,000 units, same amount of capital and labor is also sufficient. It means like that. But it is not so, right? For producing 30,000 units, definitely there will be increase in the capital and labor. Okay. So we have MRTS, we used to call it as MRTS, that is marginal rate of technical substitution. Marginal rate of technical substitution. What does this mean? Marginal rate of technical substitution. That mean if I don't have sufficient amount of labor to do my work, I have to depend on another variable. I have to increase another variable. I have to identify that exactly. If I don't identify exactly, there will be increase in my input cost. Okay. So you see here, the marginal rate of technical substitution refers to the rate at which one input factor is substituted with the other to attain a given level of output. Okay. So here I am writing MRTS as 5:1. What does it mean? If there is, see here, you just see the table. Combination A is 1 lakh input capital and 20 number of labor. B is 2 input 2 lakhs of capital and 50 number of labor. And for C is 3 lakhs of input capital and labor is 11. Okay. Here what is my 5:1? So the decrease, labor has decreased by 5 units. 20 minus 15 is 5. That we write here. How much is the increase in the capital? It is 1. Okay. Capital and labor, 5 units decrease in the labor. 5 units decrease in the labor are compensated by an increase of 1 unit of capital. By an increase of 1 unit of capital. So if my labor has been decreased once again to 11, I have to increase my capital 1 more unit. Right? That is marginal rate of technical substitution. So we have to definitely know this. Why? Because if you want to produce, you will be having a target of production, and you should know the different combinations to produce that output. Then only you can achieve your targeted output. If not, what happens is, if you don't have the knowledge on it, you are unable to reach your target to produce that particular amount of output. Okay. So in some areas, the labor is deficit, right? Labor is, we have deficiency regarding the labor. So in that point, we have to know how much amount of capital is required to produce same amount of output. Okay, that thing we can observe here. Next, what is ISO costs? ISO means equal, costs means, okay, capital here, capital or cost, whatever it may be. So along the curve, the cost is same. Along the curve, the cost is same. That means here IC1 is 1 lakh rupees. Along the curve, it may be different combination of labor. Okay, that means you can't vary the capital. You don't want to vary the capital, but you want to produce the output. To produce that particular output, we have to know how much amount of labor is required. Okay, so just you see this curve. Here I am using IC1 is 1 lakh rupees to produce 20,000 units. I use 30,000. I have to produce 30,000 units with a capital of 1.5 lakh, and I have to produce 40,000 units with 2 lakh rupees. Okay. So the labor is varying. Okay. That is ISO cost representation. Then we have the last concept called as least cost combination of inputs. What does this least cost combination of inputs? So first we have seen ISO quants, that is to produce same quantity of output. What are the different combinations of inputs we have seen? And in the next we have seen I want my capital, that means the cost capital as constant, and I want to produce the output. Now in this least cost combination of inputs, I will merge both the concepts. First I will write I will draw the curves regarding the ISO quants. After that I will draw the curve regarding ISO costs. Here IC1 is 1 lakh rupees to produce 20,000 units. IC2 is to produce 30,000 units. How much is the cost and labor I require? Okay. IC3 is 2 lakh rupees to produce 40,000 units. So here you can see this is the curve regarding the ISO quants. This is the curve regarding the ISO cost, ISO quants to produce 30,000 units. This is the curve for the IQ3. That means producing a quantity of 40,000 units. They all are intersecting at some particular point. This ISO quant and ISO cost is intersecting at one point P. This one is intersecting at Q, this one at R. That means if I want to produce 20,000 units, this particular point is the best one. This combination of labor and capital, that means to produce 20,000 units, I require a minimum value of labor, which is this one. If I draw a perpendicular line from P to x-axis, that gives the correct value of the labor, and my cost is 1 lakh rupees. That number of labor is sufficient with a capital of 1 lakh rupees to get the best of 20,000 units. That is the concept of least cost combination of the inputs. Okay. So the manufacturer has to produce at lower costs to attain higher profits. Okay. The ISO costs and ISO points can be used to determine the inputs uses that minimize the cost of production. Okay. At some particular point of time, the slope of the ISO points is equal to that of ISO cost. Is There lies a lowest point of cost production. This can be observed by superimposing the ISO counts and ISO cost curves. Okay. ISO quants also called as ISO product curves. Okay. So this thing we have seen MRTS. We are calculating MRTS, marginal returns of technical substitution, marginal rate of technical substitution, marginal rate of technical substitution. So change in one input to the change in another input. Okay. Change in the capital, delta K is the change in the capital, and delta L is the change in the labor. Okay. What is this expansion path? If you want the best output, least cost combination, this is the thing. We have to straight away go from P to Q and from Q to R to get the best outputs to produce 320,000, 30,000, 40,000 inputs. Okay. That's all for today.